Today, we're watching a mysterious and intense thriller about a couple who get a luxury mansion for free, but with one terrifying rule. They must never open the cellar door. A wealthy man decides to give away his massive mansion without asking for even a single dollar, but there is one condition. The couple who buys the house must never, under any circumstances, open the cellar door hidden in the backyard. If they keep their promise, the mansion becomes theirs forever. But if the door is opened, the house goes back to the old man. At first, the couple thinks the man is joking. He refuses to explain anything and only says, "It's already too late," before allowing them to spend the night inside the mansion. The next morning, the wealthy man is gone, and on the table they find a contract with the exact same condition written inside. And that's where their nightmare truly begins. The wife, Sarah, quickly falls in love with the mansion, but her husband John feels uneasy from the start. He can't believe someone would give away a luxury estate for free without some kind of hidden trick. Deep down, he becomes convinced that something horrifying is hidden beneath the cellar, or that the whole thing is some kind of twisted scam. Soon after, a real estate agent sent by the old man arrives and confirms that everything is completely legal. The moment they sign the contract, the mansion officially belongs to them. Even though John hesitates and warns Sarah, she refuses to listen. Since they aren't paying anything for the house, he finally signs the papers. Just like that, the mansion becomes theirs. But after moving in, strange things begin happening. During their housewarming party, several unsettling moments occur. In the middle of the party, a woman named Alyssa suddenly appears. The moment John sees her, the color drains from his face. Alyssa is his ex-girlfriend, a woman who once became dangerously obsessed with him. John pulls her aside and asks what she's doing there. Alyssa claims one of her friends invited her, and insists she means no harm. Suddenly, Sarah screams from outside. John rushes to the front yard and finds a strange man standing there holding a gasoline can. The man warns him that the mansion must be burned down immediately, or something terrible will happen to him. But nobody takes the warning seriously. The next morning, Sarah meets one of the neighbors, a woman named Catherine. At first their conversation seems friendly, but as she leaves, Catherine quietly says, "I hope you survive living in that house." The strange comment leaves Sarah disturbed and confused. Meanwhile, when John arrives at work, he notices everyone staring at him strangely. He soon learns that Alyssa reported him to Human Resources and accused him of sexual harassment, claiming she no longer feels safe around him. The accusation is completely false, designed only to destroy his marriage and his life. John tries to explain the truth, but the company suspends him until the investigation is finished. With nowhere else to go, John returns home feeling trapped. He's now unemployed, falsely accused, and desperately needs money for Sarah's fertility treatments. If Sarah ever learns about the accusations, his entire life could collapse. Later, while standing on the balcony trying to calm himself, his eyes drift toward the cellar door again. The mystery consumes his mind. Stress, fear, and curiosity slowly begin taking over. The next day, John decides to open the cellar himself, but no matter how hard he tries, the door won't move. Sarah notices how distracted and obsessed he has become. Eventually, John tells her they need to find out what's hidden below. But Sarah refuses immediately. She has grown attached to the mansion and doesn't want to risk losing it. The following day, John becomes even more determined. He messages Alyssa, agreeing to meet her, but the thought of the cellar never leaves his head. If the main entrance can't be opened, he assumes there must be another way inside. He visits the city archives to search for the mansion's blueprints. While checking the files, one of the employees casually mentions that another former resident named Paul McManus once requested the same blueprints, but never returned to pick them up. John is shocked because, as far as he knew, the mansion only belonged to the wealthy man, Emmett. The employee grows even more confused after hearing Emmett's name and explains that nobody has mentioned him in over 25 years. He then tells John an old story about Emmett throwing an extravagant wedding long ago, before his wife mysteriously vanished without a trace shortly after. While studying the blueprints, John discovers another possible entrance hidden beneath the staircase. Back at home, he checks the spot and finds it sealed behind wooden boards. He sneaks inside, only to discover another blocked path leading toward the cellar. Refusing to give up, John drills a tiny hole into the wall so he can look inside, but before he can see anything, Sarah suddenly appears and forces him to leave before she notices what he's done. That same night, Alyssa calls John and arranges to meet him. The next day, they confront each other inside a parking garage. The argument quickly turns heated. Alyssa accuses John of betraying her and insists they were always meant to be together. John angrily tells her he loves his wife and has no intention of leaving Sarah. When Alyssa realizes she can't change his mind, she threatens to expose their past relationship and ruin his life. John warns her to stay away from Sarah or face deadly consequences. Days pass, and John continues spiraling deeper into paranoia, constantly going on long runs to clear his head. Meanwhile, Sarah focuses all her attention on decorating a nursery, even though she still isn't pregnant. Then one day, Sarah suddenly becomes sick and decides to take a pregnancy test. To her shock, the result is positive. Somehow, she became pregnant naturally without continuing her IVF treatments. Overwhelmed with happiness, she accidentally drops the test. When she bends down to pick it up, she notices a rolled-up paper beneath the bed. It's the mansion's blueprint. Sarah instantly realizes John has secretly been investigating the cellar. As she studies the map, she notices markings showing someone had already opened the hidden route before. At the same time, Alyssa suddenly arrives at the mansion. Her intentions are obvious. She wants to destroy John and Sarah's marriage. She knocks on the door, but when nobody answers, she lets herself inside and walks upstairs. There, she finds Sarah's positive pregnancy test. The sight completely breaks her, and she quickly rushes back out of the house. Moments later, Sarah emerges from the hidden cellar route and notices the front door left open. Meanwhile, John is out jogging near the road while speaking to a co-worker on the phone. Right after the call ends, he spots Alyssa's car speeding away. He immediately chases after the car. Whatever happened during that pursuit remains unknown. Later that night, when John finally returns home, Sarah is furious that his run lasted until evening. But before the argument can grow worse, Sarah reveals she's pregnant. The news changes everything, and neither of them mentions Alyssa showing up at the house. Since Sarah now knows John tried entering the cellar, she begs him to stop thinking about it. She doesn't want to risk losing the mansion now that they're expecting a baby. Reluctantly, John agrees. Sometime later, John receives a call saying the investigation at work is over. He has officially been cleared of all accusations and can return to his job. Once back at work, one of his co-workers mentions that Alyssa suddenly took leave to recover and has stopped answering any calls from the company. One day, while John and Sarah are working on the nursery, John discovers a small hole hidden behind a painting. Looking closer, he finds a bullet lodged inside the wall. The discovery terrifies him. Suddenly, everything starts connecting in his mind: Emmett, the locked cellar, and the mysterious disappearance of Emmett's wife. John becomes convinced he has uncovered the truth. Emmett murdered his wife and hid her body somewhere beneath the mansion. Days later, the police arrive at John's workplace asking questions about Alyssa. She has officially been reported missing, and her abandoned car was discovered near a remote lake. John panics. The last thing he wants is for the investigation to uncover his past relationship with Alyssa. Meanwhile, Sarah meets Catherine for coffee and finally asks what she meant about surviving the house. Catherine explains that several families lived there before them, but none stayed long. The last family was Paul McManus's. According to Catherine, every family that moved into the mansion eventually fell apart and disappeared. That same evening, news reports continue covering Alyssa's disappearance. During dinner, Sarah brings up Alyssa's case, and John tells her what he learned from the police and his co-workers. But Sarah suddenly remembers something Catherine mentioned earlier. She often saw John out running during the day. Suspicious, Sarah secretly checks his laptop and emails, discovering that he had been suspended because of Alyssa's accusations. She also finds multiple calls between them. Sarah begins wondering if John is somehow connected to Alyssa's disappearance. At the same time, John becomes obsessed with the bullet he found. He compares it to ammunition from Emmett's antique gun collection and realizes it's an exact match. He tries explaining his theory to Sarah again, but she dismisses him. In the middle of their argument, the doorbell rings. The police have returned. Sarah secretly checks John's phone and finally discovers the truth about his affair with Alyssa. The police ask John where he was on the day Alyssa disappeared. John claims he spent the entire day at home. When they ask for proof, Sarah steps forward and confirms his story. After the police leave, a massive fight erupts between them. Sarah becomes convinced that John murdered Alyssa. Believing the mansion has ruined his life, John decides to find Paul McManus. When he finally meets him, he realizes Paul is the same broken man who once tried to burn down the house. Paul tells John that signing the contract was the greatest regret of his life. He says John now has two choices: either leave the mansion forever or open the cellar door. Terrified, John rushes home and begs Sarah to leave with him, but she refuses to walk away from a free luxury mansion. Desperate and mentally exhausted, John finally decides to break the cellar lock himself. Just as the lock is about to snap open, Sarah suddenly smashes him in the head with a heavy object, knocking him unconscious. When John wakes up, Sarah reveals the horrifying truth while holding Alyssa's phone. The day John was searching for the hidden cellar entrance, Sarah heard the front door open. She grabbed one of Emmett's antique guns and went downstairs, where she found Alyssa inside the house. Alyssa attacked her in a fit of rage, and during the struggle, Sarah shot her. One of the bullets hit the wall. After Alyssa died, Sarah wrapped up the body and hid it inside the cellar. The car John chased that day wasn't Alyssa driving, it was Sarah. She dumped the car near the lake and even sent fake resignation emails from Alyssa's account to make everything look natural. Horrified, John wants to go to the police, but Sarah points the gun at him and says nobody will believe him. Everyone already thinks he had a secret relationship with Alyssa. Sarah gives him a choice: either they stay together as a family, or she kills him and raises their child alone. Fearing for his life, John agrees. Several months later, the couple throws a celebration for Sarah's 7th month of pregnancy. On the surface, they look normal, but John is no longer the same man. During the party, a package arrives from Emmett. Inside is a letter and the key to the cellar door. When they finally open it, they discover the cellar is completely empty. In the letter, Emmett explains that the locked cellar was never meant to hide anything. It was only a test of trust and loyalty between the couple, since they never officially opened the cellar before receiving the key. Or at least, that's what Emmett believes. They passed the test. And now, the mansion truly belongs to them forever.